I used to work at a gas station for a local grocery store. It was near the store, but across a parking lot large enough to make it cumbersomely far. We did a fair amount of business, but had a lot of downtime. One night I was closing, as I often did, and it was a seemingly typical Tuesday night. We spoke to customers using the PA system, click on, hold talk, etc. The speaker wasn't always clear. We often had trouble understanding what people said through it. We had a speaker on the kiosk and one on each of the 12 gas pumps. We could hear or speak through all of them. As the clock struck 11 p.m., long after sun went down, I was beginning to lock the display cases of chips and gum when the screen in the kiosk lit up, "Help," on pump 12. As always, I turned on the PA system to that pump and asked what the problem was. There was no reply. You can't see very well from the kiosk, with all the stuff they hang in the windows, but I could tell there was no car there. They probably gave up, I said aloud, and then continued to close up and went home. The next week I was in the same situation, beginning to close. The spooky thing about the kiosk at night is that you're the only person there, and as aforementioned, the store was a little ways away. Just like the week before, "Help" came up on the monitor, but this time it was for pump 1. "Hello? How can I help?" I asked, again, with no response. Then almost immediately, "Help," on pump 12. I didn't see any cars, so I thought maybe it was some kids playing a prank, so I went outside to look. But it was a little bit chilly, uncharacteristic for late August. But other than that, everything was normal. But nobody was there. I went back inside, closed up, and went home. The next day I told my manager about the strange occurrences, and he said it's normal for the system to bug out on the display sometimes. That eased my mind a little. The following Tuesday I was closing again. It was colder tonight than it had been. Darker, too. I tried to push it from my mind. 11 p.m. came around. Nobody else was there. Almost on cue, pump 12 lit up on the screen. "Help." We had just put up a new sign in the window for beef jerky, so I couldn't see over pump 12 at all. So I turned on the PA system and asked if anyone was there. This time there was a response. In a very faint, wispy voice, I heard, "Why won't anyone help me?" I was so shocked I dropped the keys for the display cases and rushed outside, because it sounded like an old man might be hurt. But when I got outside, nobody was there. I went back into the kiosk trying to forget it had even happened. But as soon as I got inside, I saw that all the pumps were flashing "Help, help, help, help." I checked the PA system more out of morbid curiosity than anything else. I knew nobody was there. Each and every pump had that man's voice. "Help me! Help me! Someone help me! Why won't anyone help me?" I was so scared I ran back to the store without locking up and immediately drove home. The next day at work, I asked my coworkers if they'd ever heard or experienced anything weird lately at work. None of them said they had, but one coworker who had worked there for several years told me that there was an old legend that before the store was built, there was a farmhouse here. The farmer was stabbed in his sleep by a disgruntled farmhand whom had refused to let marry his daughter. The farmer bled out in his bed, and his family didn't know anything had happened until the next morning. I left work and never went back. When you work at a gas station at night, you have a lot of free time. I often sit here and watch the people come and go about their lives. Across the street, a little ways back from the road, is a small parking lot and a couple of local bars. I often sit here and watch every Tom and Sally waltz in sometime around noon and stagger out any time before last call. I see all sorts of people going in and out of those bars. Wealthy businessmen looking for a little downtime after work, day laborers looking to escape their tiring, tedious lives, husbands and wives who needed some time alone, and barflies just looking to hang out or catch the end of the game. I would just sit and watch. We rarely got customers at night. Most could just pay at the pump anyway. One particular night, a cold night in early December, things started out business as usual. My supervisor handed me the keys and headed out for the night. It was only 6:30 p.m., but the sun had gone down nearly an hour ago. As the customers dwindled in number around 8 o'clock or so, I started watching across the street, as I usually do. But on that night, I saw the silhouette of a tall man. Not abnormally tall, just taller than most of the people I'm used to seeing, walk in front of the door to one of the bars. I didn't see him come from inside the bar, though I admit he may have. One of the bar patrons walked out of the door, giving a farewell wave to someone or something unseen inside. He was stopped by the taller man, and the two went on to have some sort of argument. A couple of shoves were given back and forth. I thought about calling the police. But bar fights aren't uncommon, and I assumed someone within the bar would take care of it. I thought it was resolved because when I looked back after helping the rare night customer, only the tall man was still there. And he walked into the unlit part of the parking lot, and I didn't see him again that night. 2 nights later, I was closing again. I barely remembered what was happening 2 nights prior until about 8 o'clock when I saw the silhouette of the taller man again. He was just tall enough that I knew it had to be him. After all, it couldn't be a coincidence. I saw him arguing with someone and leading them over to the dark part of the parking lot. They both entered the shadows, and I didn't see either of them again that night. The following night I was working the day shift. Across the street at the bars were a few police cars with officers questioning the bar owner and looking around the parking lot. An hour or so later they left. I was happy to not have to close that night. The whole thing had me kind of spooked. What was happening in the shadows? The reason I'm writing this is because tonight I close again, and I'm afraid I might find out. It's about 8 o'clock, and the bar closed early tonight. I don't see anyone in their parking lot, but towards the corner of ours, where we don't have much light, I see the silhouette of a very tall man walking towards the gas station. And I'm the only one here.